Hello there and welcome to my channel Novice Modelling in a Midlife Crisis. My name is Andy and today I'm going to be doing a quick what's in the box kit review on my RODEN 1941 Packard Clipper World War II US Army staff car, which I believe is kit number 815. Now the reason I've decided to do this is because this is actually going to be the next kit I'm going to be building, and obviously I'm going to try and put this into some sort of historical context, because on September the 2nd, which is around about a week away, you actually get the official signing of the surrender terms at Tokyo Bay on board the, I believe this is the USS Missouri in the background, which officially ended the Pacific War and ended the Second World War also. So as per normal, what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick read through of the blurb on the instructions. We're going to have a look at the instruction sheet. We're going to have a look at the sprues, and that'll be about it really. So here we go. The Packard Motor Car Company was founded in the early 20th century by James Ward Packard. From the very beginning, Packard was positioned as a luxury brand whose products were produced in relatively small quantities and at a much higher price than its competitors. Although twice as expensive as those of the other manufacturers, sometimes more so, the cars quickly gained popularity among motorists primarily due to their impeccable quality of production and high reliability of construction. In the following decades, the Packard brand was associated not only with impeccable quality and reliability, but also seen as an indicator of status. Cars of this brand were exported to many countries around the world, and because production volumes remained low, the vast majority in other countries belonged to the political, business and cultural elites. With the onset of the Great Depression, the situation for Packard, in contrast to such influential competitors in this market sector as Duesenberg, Pierce Arrow, Cord and Auburn, did not deteriorate significantly. The company moved to release the so-called series small batches of the same type, which could offer slightly different from its predecessor in subsequent sub-series. It was at this time that Packard was the first to produce a car with a 12-cylinder engine, a real supercar of its time, which also had considerable success in the market. Yet the economic crisis eventually affected the company's economic policy, and in the second half of the 1930s, more affordable cars began to be produced, which, despite a number of simplifications, still bore the usual hallmarks of a luxury brand. By the end of the year, Packard had produced 16,000 such cars, but the US entry into World War II completely changed subsequent plans. The military high command issued extraordinary production orders for its requirements, and many purely civilian manufacturers, including Packard, were repurposed to produce military equipment. Packard won a special role in this big game to produce one of the best engines of its time, the British Rolls-Royce Merlin. After receiving all the documentation, it's named the Packard Merlin, and was produced in the following years in extremely large quantities and installed in various types of aircraft, including the best fighters of its time, the P-51 Mustang. Most of the Packard Clippers were purchased by the military, and it was widely used during the war years as personal transportation for senior officers. At least two of the cars became very famous because they were used by military heroes of the time, General Dwight Eisenhower and General Douglas MacArthur, as we have here. So I'm not going to bother with that because that's just more of the same. Whew, that was quite long. So now let's have a quick look at the instructions. And I've never reviewed or really had a deep look at a RODEN kit before, because even though I do actually have a couple of them, the instructions, just zoom that out a little bit, basically are pretty good. We start off with a full set of sprue diagrams, and then we move on to the construction of the chassis and the underworks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 are all putting the chassis together, putting the petrol tank on. We're going to start putting the engine together with its fan belt and fan. There's our, I believe this is a 12-cylinder engine, or maybe it's an 8. Section 10, we're going to start moving on to the drive shafts. Section 12, we're going to put some rear suspension on. 11, we're going to put our fuel tank on. Section 13, we're going to put the engine in, and we're going to start putting the wheels on. And section 14, we're going to be basically left with the completed chassis. Section 15A and B, we're going to put the seats together. And section 16, we're going to start working on the body. Sometimes you just can't get the words out. Section 17, we're doing, not too sure. 18, we're going to put the door cards on the doors and put the windows in. Section 20 is more to do with the doors. We're putting handles on the inside and the outside. Section 22, we're going to put the body together with our pre-assembled doors and windows. And then we're going to basically put our under part of the body onto our chassis. And section 22, we're going to put the body on, and then we're going to start putting some of the smaller parts, which you can put these sort of covers on the wheels, or you can leave them off. Obviously, I'm going to put them on because that's how this is depicted in the picture. Section, whatever this one is, doesn't have a number on it. We're going to start putting the bumpers, the lights, windscreen wipers, and a few other small parts on. And here we have a really helpful black and white colour diagram of all the different green colours we can put it on. Basically, we've got a Packard Clipper model 1941 for General Douglas MacArthur. We have a pretty standard one now preserved at the Ohio Classic Car Gallery. And here we have the Packard Clipper, occasionally used by General Dwight Eisenhower, probably 1942. So as you can imagine, we get all of the relevant numbers and decals for these. So we get two different sets of numbers, and we get some flags. And this one comes with a really cool number plate, USA 1, kind of like that. Go USA. Now we're going to have a look at the sprues. Try and do them in some sort of sensible order. The first one is our engine and our chassis. So here's our engine. These are various parts of the chassis that we've actually got to put together. We've got some various mechanical parts here. Here we can see the exhaust. We've got some of the suspension. Looks like the fan blade. It's probably the top of the engine. Got some quite nice detail on this, on engine and all other mechanical parts. You can see some shock absorbers here. Definite detail on the exhaust system. So that all looks quite nice. The plastic looks pretty good. There is some flash that I've seen on a few parts of this. That's obviously quite an easy fix on that one. The rest of this sprue seems to be pretty flash free and doesn't need any attention, so it's just that bit there. Next off, we've got the body. And I've had one of these, an issue with this before, where another manufacturer, I think it was ICM, give us two pieces of the body to stick together. Obviously, being a bit of a novice and a bit of a muppet who makes models badly, I might have a bit of an issue with the seam on this, so that's going to require some quite careful attention, I think, there. We've got the bonnet here, which this has a little bit of flash on it as well. I'm going to have to be quite careful in how I take that off because it's got a definite particular type of form. These are the door cards. That looks like part of the fuel tank maybe at the back, or the rear pan. And here we have the boot section, or whatever you call it in America. This is the floor pan of the vehicle. We have some of the more mechanicals. Interesting when you have a Thompson submachine gun, just so the general can be packing just in case he gets attacked. We've got front and rear bumpers. These are our front seats and our rear seats. That's part that the actual seat goes into. No great shakes on the detail. It's probably got all the detail that's actually required. Machine gun looks quite nice though. On this one we have our doors. There's our fuel tank. There's our dashboard console. It's a pretty cool looking steering wheel. They're going to be, what are they? Some part of the wing maybe. Not too sure. And they're these parts that go on the, you can actually have removed if you want to on the rear wheels. That's the front of the vehicle. That's got some nice detail on it. All going to be painted green, no chrome required at all. Obviously you can see here the lights have little wartime covers on them. And then we get two of these sprues, one of which is our wheels. We've got a variety of interior and exterior door handles. The ice cream van has just turned up outside, so I better get a move on. That's all there is on that one. And then we have our clear plastic, which is just basically our side windows, our rear windows, and our windshield, and our lights. Now, I've done a little bit of online research for this, and there's a variety of stories going around this, but I was trying to figure out what sort of colours to do. I mean, you can see here, it seems to be sort of a cream colour on the interior. So obviously I'm just going to do maybe buff, which the General's outfit is in. So I'm going to be doing that in cream. I've actually read a couple of stories that the actual seats and the door cards in MacArthur's car, which allegedly was fully loaded with air conditioning, which was a newfangled invention at the time. But I've actually read that his seats were actually done in a sort of dark blue. So whether that's 100% accurate or not, I'm not exactly certain, but I think that's the way I'm going to go because I've just read it that way. I'm going to be doing another What's in the Box in a minute because we've got this Tamiya military miniatures, which I've also acquired so as I can get myself a General MacArthur figure. I also get a Patton, an Eisenhower, a Montgomery, and a Field Marshal Rommel. So we're going to be doing MacArthur from this. This is going to be kind of interesting for me because it's going to be the first time I've painted a figure in 20 years. Lucky for me on this one, he's basically pretty plain with some skin and some sort of gold work going on his hat. So it's kind of an easy one to actually start with. Obviously, like I said, it's coming up to September the 2nd, so it's the anniversary. What I've actually done previously, and this kind of finishes off a kind of little story, if you like. I actually built this Matchbox USS Indianapolis, which delivered the atomic bomb to Tinian, the one that was used on Hiroshima. So that one's already been built. So that was the start of our little sort of end of war series. I've also built recently, can't even get that one in the screen, it's so big, this Academy B-29, which came for markings for Enola Gay and Boxcar. I actually decided for random reasons to do Enola Gay one side and Boxcar on the other side. So I've also built that, and I'm actually pinning it to this film because I kind of like watching films as well, which is called Emperor, which is inspired by true events, which stars Matthew Fox, who was Dr. Jack in that terrible or awesome series Lost, and the absolutely amazing and thoroughly watchable Tommy Lee Jones, who plays MacArthur. Whether Emperor actually refers to Emperor Hirohito, which is obviously what this film is technically about, or whether they're insinuating that MacArthur was literally an emperor. He did have a very large ego. And I've actually seen this before, and it's actually pretty good. I don't really know exactly how accurate it is. I do hear that there was that sort of love story going on in the background with Matthew Fox, and that's not particularly accurate, but I think a lot of the actual historical parts of it, like MacArthur meeting Hirohito, are pretty accurate, and it's a reasonably good film. So, you know, I mean, if you want a film to sort of watch about this sort of subject, that's the one to watch, I suppose. Incidentally, I no idea whether, you know, a clipper actually features in it, but there we go. So I've got a few other things I'm going to be doing over the next week or so. I'm going to start doing a review of 3 Panzercolour books that I've actually got, which is going to be a sort of long and drawn out affair that might take about sort of 20-30 minutes video. Basically, I'm just going to flick through the actual pages. I actually have Panzercolours 1, 2 and 3. But if you haven't actually got these rather interesting sort of books from the 70s and 80s, I'm giving you a free copy at the end of the day because, you know, you could actually read what the words are. So they're going to be coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm going to do one a week. And probably do a few more What's in the Box reviews. And like I say, this is going to be my main project for the next sort of 10 days or whatever it is till September the 2nd. So I better get my skates on. So thanks for joining me. Please do like and subscribe. Please do drop a comment in the comments bar. Do enjoy engaging with you guys. Whether it's positive or negative, you know, drop us a line. I've no problem trying to explain what it is I'm doing and why I do things in a rather weird and bizarre way. If you want, you know, give us a like. I'd rather talk to people and get the thumbs down though. So if you don't like what I do, just let us know what it is and we can have a chat about it, and maybe I'll change a little bit. Who knows? Incidentally as well, I've actually subscribed to Buy Me a Coffee. I don't know, I'm not asking you to buy me a coffee, but if you want to, buy me a coffee. And I'll spend the money on beer. Thanks very much. Be seeing you.